A couple buys a house that used to belong to a bad person. Little do they know, someone wants to keep that person's bad legacy going. One night, a scary man hides in the dark and hurts someone with a hammer. Then, the victim's girlfriend shows up, and the scary man hides, waiting to hurt her too. This whole scary situation is on a TV show called The Slumlord Tapes. Sky is watching it while cuddling with her husband. But Cam says it's not a good idea to watch people being hurt in their homes, especially when they've just moved into a new house. Sky can't stop watching, so Cam goes to bed. The next day, Cam is fixing up the apartment next door to rent out. He's having a tough time with the water heater, which keeps making strange noises. In the afternoon, Sky's sister Caroline comes to stay with them for a while. They visit Cam, and he says something that makes Caroline uncomfortable about her husband. She doesn't want her husband to find her. She asks how they got the house, and when they act strangely, she gets worried. They tell her the house used to belong to a bad person who put cameras in his rental homes. Cam says the bad person is gone, so there's nothing to be scared of. But Caroline is still scared because Sky watched a scary show about it. Later, they watch the show and find out that investigators found cameras hidden everywhere in the house, even in the bathroom. This creeps Caroline out, especially when the investigator says there might be more cameras they didn't find. The show also talks to a friend of one of the victims who visited the house and didn't know there was someone in trouble in the basement below him. After Caroline goes to take a shower, Sky scolds Cam for mentioning Caroline's husband, Gio. Cam admits it was a mistake and goes to check the water heater in the apartment. He finds the heater making noise and sees some bugs. When he drops his phone and reaches for it, he accidentally discovers a secret office hidden behind a loose wall. Inside, there is a safe, a machine that makes the air smell nice, and a computer that connects to many cameras in the house. Cam is really scared at first, but then he sees a video of Carolyn in the bathroom. He gets interested but stops himself and turns off the computer before he can see anything bad. During dinner, Cam tries to tell the women what he found, but before he can say anything, Carolyn sees a shadow behind him through the curtains and screams. Cam checks, but there's no one there. Later, as they get ready for bed, Cam tries to tell his wife about what he found, but Sky gets distracted when she sees on her phone that the bad person who used to own the house had lots of videos of his tenants. She thinks it's creepy, and Cam kind of agrees, but he gets an idea. The next day, he sneaks into the apartment while the sisters argue about Carolyn's husband. Carolyn says her husband's assistant tempted him to cheat with her because she was really pretty. Sky says Gio was also at fault because he didn't say no. Cam, wanting to prove a point, starts using the cameras to watch his wife and sister-in-law, and even goes back to when Carolyn was in the shower. He gets so into it that he jumps when the air freshener turns on. Then he feels bad about watching his sister-in-law. To find another way to use the cameras, he checks and sees that he can also see into the apartment's shower. This gives him an idea. After fixing up the rental place, the couple starts interviewing potential tenants. Cam is not interested in male tenants, but gets excited when he meets two college women who want to rent the place. Sky later worries that the women don't have good credit or jobs and might be noisy tenants. Cam hints that male tenants might be riskier and reminds Sky of how they struggled in college, so the women might be going through the same. He encourages her to be understanding and help them. They get closer, but Cam knows they're being recorded. He watches the recording later and realizes how bad it is to watch himself and his wife. On another day, Sky keeps watching the documentary and learns that the bad person who used to own the house put screws in the doors to keep his victims from escaping. The show also talks to one of the survivors, Claire, who is still scared and always watched by reporters and strangers. The show then says that the bad person who used to own the house had a burnt van, and the investigators think he might have died in a fire. Because of this, they still don't know if there might be more people he hurt and hid away. When Sky hears this, she gets really scared and doesn't believe that the bad person is truly gone. A few days later, Cam sees their new tenants, Amber and Ren, arriving with their stuff, so he hurries to help them carry it. He tries to be friendly and chat with them, but they don't seem interested, so he leaves. While he's outside, he gets a call from work, but he ignores it and sneaks back into the lady's apartment. tempted to spy on the new tenants. He stops when he gets a reminder about a meeting he has to attend. Cam tries to leave, but Amber accidentally drops a box in his way, trapping him. He takes the call from work and speaks quietly so the ladies won't hear. While on the call, he sees Ren changing in her room and can't help but watch. Luckily, his co-workers think he's having technical problems, so they reschedule the meeting, and he gets to keep spying on the ladies for the rest of the day. Later, Sky comes home and is surprised to find her husband having a barbecue with the new tenants. Cam says he cooked to welcome them, but Sky notices he's using a new grill, and the price tag is still on the tongs, so she knows he just bought it. Cam tries to explain that he wanted to surprise her with a new recipe, but Sky finds his behavior strange and goes back inside. That night, Cam works late to catch up, and Carolyn arrives late too, after getting a restraining order from her husband with the help of lawyers. Seeing her tired, Cam suggests she take a shower to relax. Carolyn goes to her room, not knowing that Cam goes to the secret room to check on her. In the end, Carolyn decides to go to bed, and Cam is disappointed. He starts checking the other ladies on the hidden cameras, but a spider scares him when it crawls on the keyboard. He sneezes just as Ren passes by, but she doesn't pay much attention. Cam sighs in relief and continues checking the feeds, and he notices a white van slowly passing by their house. The next day, Cam puts up special foam to block sound and make sure no one hears him. Then, the ladies come back home, and Ren talks about a guy she likes who doesn't make a move on her, even though she's giving him hints. Ren says she wants to be with a man who's more direct, so Cam decides to take a picture of himself and sends it to Ren, but she looks more shocked than interested. So he tries to act like it was an accident, and tells Ren he meant to send it to his wife. The tenants don't believe him, and Amber even suggests telling Sky about the picture. Panicking, Cam quickly sends another message, begging Ren to delete the photo and keep it a secret. He watches anxiously as Ren finally replies, and is relieved that she agrees to keep it quiet. Later, Cam sees his wife going through documents about the slumlord killer. Sky tells him that she saw a white van like the killer's passing by their house. She looked up the case and found out that the investigators couldn't confirm if the killer was really dead because his van was completely burnt and they couldn't find any remains. Cam tries to reason that since everyone knows about the killer, he's unlikely to come back to the houses he owned. But then he thinks about the safe in the secret room and wonders if the killer might want to get it back. While Sky watches the documentary, she continues hearing an interview with Claire, who talks about the creepy landlord who visited too often and stayed too long during their conversations. At the same time, Cam visits the tenant's empty apartment, not realizing he's acting like the slumlord killer. When he goes to leave, he's surprised to find Amber there. She's upset that he's in their place without permission, and Cam says he was checking the water heater they share. Amber tells him he needs their permission before going into their house, and he apologizes and leaves. As he steps outside, he sees the white van parked there and tries to talk to the person inside, but the driver speeds away. That evening, while Cam is cooking dinner, Sky gets a message from one of the tenants, complaining that her husband is making them uncomfortable. Cam tries to downplay it, but his wife scolds him for getting too close to the college ladies. The man chuckles and promises to stop, but he thinks everyone is being too sensitive. This upsets Sky, and she leaves, leaving Cam to have dinner alone. The next morning, Cam sees Ren and Amber leaving their apartment with camping stuff. As soon as they're gone, he sneaks into their place again to check the outdoor footage. He sees the white van passing by many times. He also sees Sky searching for hidden cameras everywhere. He gets distracted when he sees the van's driver using a green laser to block a camera, showing that the person knew where it was. Then he sees Sky finding a device in her sister's bathroom. He tries to make her think it's something else, but Sky knows it's a camera and decides to keep it as evidence. Cam tries to talk her out of it, worried he'll get caught. Suddenly, Caroline arrives, scared because she's been getting threatening messages. She's sure it's her husband, and that he's found her, so Sky wants everyone to leave the house for safety. Caroline's husband, Gio, does show up that night, yelling for her. He sees a green laser on the door and follows it, but someone hits him with a hammer and kills him. The group comes back home later that night, unaware of what happened. Cam checks the cameras and finds that one was blocked by the green light when the slumlord killer was installing something at their door. But Gio arrived at that moment, so the footage is blurry. Cam checks the other cameras and sees one in the driveway recording the slumlord killer dragging Gio's body away. He screams in shock, finally realizing the danger they're in. The air freshener sprays at him suddenly, and he instinctively removes its cover, revealing a camera inside. Cam realizes the slumlord killer has been watching him. This makes Cam very uneasy, so he stays up all night. Sky, who didn't know he had been up all night, shows him the device she found, planning to turn it in. Hoping to make her happy, Cam admits that he believes her theory that the killer might still be alive. Sky smiles, thinking her husband is finally listening to her. Cam works up the courage to talk to Sky about something, but decides not to in the end. After everyone leaves, Cam writes a message to the bad person and invites them to meet in the apartment. The bad person shows up, and Cam shows that he's ready to call for help if anything goes wrong. He tells the bad person to take their things downstairs and promises to get rid of any evidence they leave behind. They both go into the secret room, and the bad person opens a safe with lots of keys for the houses he's rigged. He nods to Cam, agreeing to leave them alone. But then Ren comes back and blocks them from leaving. To keep the bad person from hurting her, Cam rushes out, and Ren is shocked to see him coming out of the closet. He tells her to leave, promising to explain everything if they go now. The bad person comes out of the closet and knocks them both out. Hours later, Cam finds himself tied up and unable to talk in the secret room. He sees on the camera that Ren is tied up in the living room, while the bad person is packing her things. Ren wakes up and tries to free herself, but the bad person finds her and kills her, while Cam can only watch in horror. Then, Sky returns, and the bad person notices her. She starts making popcorn, but gets distracted when she hears a noise at the front door. After checking and finding nothing, she realizes her popcorn is burning and tries to let out the smoke, but she discovers a screw blocking the door, making her think the bad person is in the house. She grabs a knife, but the bad person grabs her and pins her down on the table. Cam is terrified as he watches the bad person try to hurt his wife with a hammer. Sky manages to avoid the attacks and fights back, hitting the bad person with a pot. But he overpowers her and ties her hands. After he's done, the bad person looks at the camera, knowing Cam is watching. Then he packs a bag to make it seem like Sky left on her own. He plans to take Sky, so he takes off the screw on the door. But when he opens it, Carolyn hits him with a pot. He uses his drill to hurt her. Sky grabs the screw he removed and tries to free her sister, hoping to save her. But the bad person chokes Carolyn, and Sky watches as her sister takes her last breath. Sky manages to free herself and tackles the bad person down. She uses the drill to stop him and finally puts an end to his terror. Later, Sky is interviewed in the documentary she's been watching. She's glad that the slumlord killer is gone for good, but she's sad that they never found Cam. Unbeknownst to her, he was still trapped in the secret room, and the soundproofing he put up to hide his actions kept his screams from being heard.
Thank you for watching our video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.